Hello, fictional. Welcome to the What If Essay. Today we are gonna see, what if Issei got harem with Raynare? Part 4. If you end up liking this video, please consider subscribe, so without further ado, let's get into the video. Hello Gabriel. By your report, the security is worthy. Spoke Odin. Indeed, Lord Odin. Although, I am sure you already are aware of that. He single-handedly killed Khaos, a mid-high-ranking Khaos Brigade member and former fallen angel leader. I believe you should be the one to train him. Or lean forward. No offense, but how do we know you're not just saying this because he is dating your daughter, who also happens to be his queen? Gabriel smiled kindly with her eyes closed, but behind that smile was something threatening. You dare to insinuate that I would play favorites with Issei? Phew. How amusing. I don't play favorites, Lord Thor, but let me be honest with you and say that I do owe the security a great debt since he killed the man who tried to kill my daughter. I am sure you would do the same thing if someone were to attempt to hurt your mother, whom you care for tremendously. Am I wrong? Thor's eyes widened. No. You're right. Thor, I do suggest that at some point in the future, you should try to get to know the security yourself, at least through your own observations. I actually think the two of you could make great friends. The underworld. Xerxes, there is something I need you to see. Xerxes was in the middle of a meeting with the other three great satans, discussing the Khaos Brigade, when Issei Haidu suddenly teleported in with Kuo Academy. Oh wow. So you're the security. A green-haired man said. My name is Ajuka Beelzebub. I'm Falbium Asmodeus. A bald man stated boredly. And I'm Seraphol Leviathan. You go to the same school as my little sister, right? She received a confused head tilt. Wait, who? Sona Citri is my little sister. Issei's eyes widen. He nodded. I see. I'm not too surprised. Sona is someone I consider an ally. Anyway, I'm Issei Haidu. I'm here on both personal and official business. Issei handed a book to the Satan. This is Kuo Academy's diary. I rescued her little sister, and in doing so, she promised that she will join my peerage. Xerxes raised both eyebrows, confused. Why are you telling me this? That diary holds information that will exonerate Kuo of all the crimes she has been accused of. Issei furrowed his eyebrows. Seriously, I don't mean to be rude, but I'll be straightforward with you by saying this. It is very infuriating to hear that she wasn't even given a trial. You people are the leaders of your race, right? Then start acting like it instead of going on a witch hunt and trying to crucify someone when none of you would hear her plight. Issei, we live in a society where Xerxes began, but Issei cut him off. No shit. A society you don't say. How could I not have noticed? He exclaimed dramatically, voice dripping with sarcasm. The security turned serious as he glared at all of the satans, which made them flinch. You devils need to get with the times and start treating everyone as innocent until proven guilty beyond any shadow of a doubt, because if you don't change, I will force you to for the better. Oh, and remind me again what happened the last time your kind forced the hands of the dragons. Didn't you almost go extinct? While Falbium snored in his sleep, the other three satans narrowed their eyes at Issei. Is that a threat? If so, your power has gone to your head. Asked Xerxes. Issei snorted. That's funny coming from a gremmery. It's not a threat, it's a promise. Every now and then, a violent revolution against those who govern a society is needed, even if the rogue elements invade from the outside. Xerxes, you and Leviathan-chan are the only devils outside those in my peerage and circle of friends that I trust. Clear Kuroka's name. Xerxes flipped open the diary and began reading out loud. The writing is barely legible as it is nearly a decade old. Today, I killed my master. I feel awful. I feel sick to my stomach, but it was the right choice, and I would do it again. The reason I did this is to protect my little sister, Shirin. Master was going to experiment on her to try to create a super devil. I hope that I won't get in trouble for this and that everyone understands, especially Shirin. Next entry. Shirin says she hates me. I can't blame her. After all, I killed our master right in front of her, and because I used Senjutsu, Shirin proclaimed that she will never use the supposedly accursed power. She's terrified of me and herself. I've also been labeled a stray devil, even though it has only been a couple hours since I did the deed, meaning they didn't investigate thoroughly. But the way devils operate, they won't hesitate to try to kill me as punishment for something that I didn't do, so I will have to always be on the run. I don't think I'll trust any devil ever again. The words ever again are crossed out and replaced with for a very long time. Next entry. Please forgive me, Shirin. I would kill that man again and again if it means protecting you, but I didn't mean to traumatize you. I'm so sorry. Final entry. This one is much more recent than the previous ones. I am about to willingly join the peerage of the Securite Issei Haidu as payment for him rescuing Shirin, who was kidnapped by Kakabiel, the same lunatic that the devils have been letting run loose and commit violent acts for a very long time. At this point, I am not surprised since they turn a blind eye to their own race enslaving people, fellow pure-blooded devils and reincarnated ones formerly of other races. Well, whatever. I can finally get rid of this filthy devil blood in my veins and replace it with draconic blood. Issei is also going to give this diary to the Satans. Just like Shirin, and kind of like that Himejima girl, former queen of Ria's Gremory, I also somewhat hate myself for what I am, and now, I will finally be free. Seraphol was horrified, her hands covering her mouth. Oh my god, what have we done? She said softly. Serziches nodded in agreement, a sad look in his eyes. We need to fix this. Before you leave Issei, Kuroka, Ajuka has a method that can immediately exonerate her. Issei smiled. In that case, take a seat, Kuroka. Kuroka sat down in front of Ajuka. What method is it? Ajuka pulled out a small object and set it onto the table. This here is a magical bell. It will ring when the person being interrogated lies to the question. This conversation will also be recorded as a video via magic as soon as you are ready. Issei smirked. Oh. Let me ask you a couple questions to test it. He cleared his throat. Are most devils like old people who refuse to acknowledge major problems in society, instead choosing to force the issues down the line for future generations to take care of? Well, I wouldn't necessarily say that, Ajuka's sweat dropped. Ding. Next question. Are most devils full of shit? Yes. Silence. Final question, and I want you to count by numbers for each answer you get wrong, increasing by 1. How many girls have feelings for me or find me attractive, not including my many fans? Ajuka's sweat dropped while Serziches and Seraphol struggled to not laugh at him. 3. Ding. 4. Ding. 5. Ding. 6. Ding. 7. Ding. 8. Ding. 9. Silence. Issei's eyes widened. 9, that's the number of people I can have in my peerage since I have 7 right now, am about to add Kuroka, and only need 1 more night after that for a complete set. Uh-oh. Methinks a certain sensei has fallen for you, partner. Drake teased. I doubt it since Roswis is a teacher and probably finds a studentiture relationship with an underage boy such as myself to be taboo, but I'll have to ask her at some point. I wonder who the other person is. Issei nodded at Ajuka. Alright, carry on with the interrogation. I am ready, said Kuroka as Ajuka began filming it. Ajuka cleared his throat and looked at Kuroka. He showed the diary to her. Is everything you wrote in this diary true? Kuroka nodded. Yes, Naya. Silence. Seraphol lowered her head. I see. We will immediately begin working on clearing your name and releasing an official statement. Eh? We will? Serziches asked, receiving a hard smack on his head from the twin-tail loli. The next day. Lie down for me, Kuroka. Naya, put it in me, master. Okay, here I come. Issei put the bishop piece on Kuroka's chest. The golden piece glowed as it turned green and disappeared inside her. Kuo Academy. Alright class, we have 4 new transfer students. Our class is now at max capacity with 45 students, so we won't be able to accommodate anyone else. Please give them a warm welcome, Roswa said. 4 people walked in, all of whom Issei recognized. Please introduce yourselves. I am Middled. It's not like I want to be friends or anything. Ah. Son to your character. Every guy. Hello. My name is Asia Argento. I am from Italy. Please take good care of me. My name is Raynare. Please treat me well. Her boobs are huge. Every guy except Issei. Hello, my name is Kuroka Taoju, Naya. My younger sister is Kaneko, Naya. I am one of Issei's 7 girlfriends in his harem. Nice to meet you, Naya. Issei, you bastard. All the boys except Vali yelled. 7 girlfriends, Kaya. I wish I was one of them. Some of the girls exclaimed. Issei's latest peerage member and newest bishop, Kuroka, had just transferred into Kuo Academy. She is also in his harem, but announcing his harem to everyone gave him a headache. Ask them a few questions one at a time, Roswis ordered. Addis raised her hand and asked, what are your last names, if you don't mind me asking? We already know Argentos. Raynare replied, we're friends with Raynare, and like her, we grew up as orphans on the streets. Luckily, we live with Issei now since he was kind enough to offer us a home. Issei was surprised and whispered to Raynare, are they moving in? He received a nod and a kiss to the cheek, making Issei almost scream and Raynare giggle. Wodahama raised his hand. Who exactly is in Issei's harem? Naya. Oh, that would be myself, Raynare Haidu, Arisu Yamauchi, Akeno Himejima, Natsuki Murayama, Irina Shidu, and Ravel Phoenix I think. The bastard stole Akeno senpai. I still can't believe he took Raynare. Not just the kendo captain, but Yamuchi too. She won't step on me any longer. No. Oh my god. Another guy yelled in English. Holy shit. 30. The girls chimed in too. Wow. He's way cooler than Kiba. I know, right, he's so hot. Issei smiled at them confidently, earning squeals from the girls not in his harem, while Lorena pouted at the female attention her king is receiving. Roswa silenced everyone. Taoju, you may sit wherever you want. Issei sent a telepathic message to Kuroka. Avoid all the other guys, especially the two school perverts, Mitsuda and Motohama. Yes, mister. Kuroka took an empty seat behind Ivarisu. Issei had a telepathic conversation with Raynare. Ray, they're obviously here because you told them that Kakabiel is dead, but where is that fedora guy? Onaseek. He said he doesn't feel comfortable coming to a school since people think he's creepy, which he really isn't, but he gets judged by his looks. Instead, he got a part-time job at a nearby delivery station. Oh. Well, at least they can finally live without having to look over their shoulders. You must be happy to have them back, just don't have too much fun without me. Raynare giggled. Like I could forget about you, dummy. Remember, this Friday is our school cultural festival. Do what you can to contribute to its preparations and make sure to invite your friends and family, Roswas announced. Now, let's go to the school assembly. Hundreds of students filled the school theater, sitting in small yet comfortable chairs. The school faculty held these assemblies every year at every good school where they talk about all the usual stuff, such as getting involved in sports clubs, dress code for guys and girls, warning girls about sexual assault to prepare them for college, treating teenage boys like animals, which they usually are, bullying, suspendable behavior worthy of expulsion, etc. And now, the principal said, we have an announcement to make. As you all know, Kuo Academy is a very new school that opened only 2 years ago. Currently, we have a student population of 700, which is pretty good in such a short amount of time and is expected to go up exponentially within a few years because after the first year's graduate in 3 years, the population will be up to 2,000. Students groaned at the thought. The principal continued. Due to the increase in population, we are able to add more diverse classes for students to enroll in. We already have a band class as well as an orchestra and jazz band, but starting today, students can now enroll into our 2 newest courses. Rock and roll, where students can learn to play instruments involved in the genre, as well as music assigned to them by their teacher. As well as boot camp, which is meant to physically train the maggots who sign up, readying themselves for a possible military future. We already have hired 2 new teachers for each class, so I would like you to meet them. 2 men walked onto the stage from a room on the side, and Issei's jaw dropped. It is the Doom Slayer and Master Chief. Neither of them had any of their armor on. They both took a microphone. The chief introduced himself first. I am John. No last name since I grew up an orphan, he lied. Call me Chief. What are the odds that he has the exact same excuse as Raynare's friends? Issei thought. I am Vega, an AI who speaks for my human companion, who is mute, the male synthetic voice announced. His name is the Doom Slayer. You can call him Slayer Sensei. The Doom Slayer smirked. The name Slayer fits since I am going to slay their innocent ears with some heavy metal, bitches. You may sign up for their classes if you come onto the stage and put your name on one of the pieces of paper for whichever class you want, the principal spoke. Some of the girls squealed at how hot the 2 new teachers are. Rock and roll class received a very balanced mix of male and female students, while bootcamp class is almost entirely male. Motohama, if we join that rock and roll class, our chances of getting a girlfriend will skyrocket. The bespectacled boy turned to Mitsuda. Or even a harem. Hell yeah. They received looks of disgust from every girl. Issei smirked at them condescendingly as if to say, bitch, please. You vermin could never get a girlfriend. Or no. Actually, we'll join boot camp. Their hopes and dreams shattered in an instant. The Holy Trinity HQ. The Arbiter sighed as he sat all alone, feeling very bored. Kuo Academy. Lunchtime. Issei was about to head to the student council room to play his weekly match of chess with Sona when he was stopped outside the door of the classroom by Kiba. Issei, would you please come with me to the occult research club room? And why would I do that? Riaz would like to thank you for saving us. Issei sighed. Look, if any of them, especially that self-entitled uppity princess have anything to say to me, tell them that from now on, they are to come to me directly. He spat out angrily before he smirked at the blonde. Oh, and by the way, I have my own peerage now. It is nearly complete and will only need 1 more night to make a full set. This is happening all while your oh so powerful king doesn't even have a queen anymore. How pathetic she is. As Issei made his way to the student council room, he suddenly heard a loud electric guitar. The sound carried throughout one of the hallways as Issei searched for the origin of the noise. He came upon an all-black door with a red symbol on it that has a skull and the words, "Rip and Tear" written above the skull inside the circle and the words, "Until it is done" under the skull. Issei peeked inside to see the Slayer jamming out to BFG division. Not wanting to disturb the Slayer, he slowly closed the door. Issei made it in the student council room. Sona adjusted her glasses. "Issei, we need help with preparing for the cultural festival." "What do you need?" "Well, there are many tasks, but for you, I think if you can help us set up a ladder at the front of the main school building and hold it for one of the student council members as they climb, that would be great. One of us is going to need to go up the ladder and paint a sign." Issei nodded. "Sounds good. Let's do it." Sona smiled. "Thank you. Momo, Ria and Tsubasa, go with him." "Yes, President." "Don't worry, Issei. We'll play a match of chess after this is done, although we'll have to be fast about it since lunch will be over halfway over." As they made their way to the equipment storage shed to acquire a ladder, Issei felt awkward being the center of attention. Momo and Ria were whispering to each other while staring at him from behind and occasionally giggling. Despite having a harem, Issei is still a shy person. The more things change, the more they stay the same. He thought. Tsubasa giggled at him. "None of us would have ever guessed that any guy could be more popular than Kiba, but you certainly are." "Right. I'm not used to having so many people staring at me, you're a senpai." "Tsubasa." "Issei, I already told you to call me that, remember?" "Tsubasa." The blue-haired girl poked his chest 3 times as she said her name, subtly trying to feel his muscles, admiring them which Issei didn't notice. "Oh, right. Sorry, Tsubasa." He scratched his hair. He opened the door to the shed and found a 40-foot-tall ladder. Grabbing it with one arm, they made their way to the front of the school. Momo and Ria made their way onto the second floor of the main building and opened the windows. "Where do you ladies want the ladder?" "Right in the middle." Momo shouted so that he could hear her. He set the ladder where he was instructed and leaned it against the wall above the school entrance, holding it in place as Tsubasa began climbing it, but not before she grabbed one end of a white tarp that was hanging from the window on the right as Momo held onto the material. Now near the top of the ladder, Tsubasa gave Ria, who was in the furthest left window, the other end of the curtain. They taped the tarp to the outside wall. Ria handed Tsubasa a paintbrush and a bucket of black paint, which she set on the ladder a couple steps above her, careful not to let it fall. Momo and Ria made their way back outside. Tsubasa painted the words, "Welcome to the annual Kuo Academy Cultural Festival" onto the tarp. As she finished, a sudden violent gust of wind that happened to hit the opposite side of the ladder, right where they didn't want it to. Tsubasa's foot slipped. 35 feet off the ground, she began to fall. Her eyes widened, panicking. "Oh crap. Am I going to die here?" She didn't have enough time to do anything but close her eyes and scream for a few short seconds when she felt the embrace of someone's arms. When she opened her eyes, her breath caught in her throat. It was Issei. He looked at her with a calm look, a small confident smile. "Are you okay?" His deep husky voice resonated. Standing behind him were Momo and Ria. Ria's thoughts. "I'm so jealous." Momo's thoughts. "Issei is so manly." Tsubasa thought, "Oh, this is so embarrassing." "I am fine. I thought I was going to die," she stammered, blushing up a storm. He gently set her down and she looked up at him. "Issei, you just saved my life. How can I ever repay you?" Issei's face turned red. "She's so cute." "Issei, are you building a peerage?" Momo asked. "If so, maybe Tsubasa could join you." Tsubasa and Ria shouted. "I am. How did you know?" "Sona inferred that you might be doing so when you first came to her to turn in your form for when you created your club. I wouldn't want to steal her away from Sona, so I'll have to ask the president too, but how do you feel about the idea, Tsubasa?" I would love to join your peerage." He smiled and nodded. "Great. Let's go talk to the president." As the chess match is about to begin, Issei spoke. "President, I propose a bet." She looked at him curiously. "Oh? What kind of bet?" "If I win this match, you have to trade one of the members of your peerage of my choosing to me, obviously not including you or your queen. So you are building a peerage. And if I win, you can have my services in all the remaining preparations for the cultural festival." She smirked. "Those wagers seem a bit unfair in your favor, but fine. Tell you what, I'm so confident in the fact that you will never win against me that I will even add 2 more conditions. If you win, not only will I allow you to trade for one of my pieces other than my queen, but also, you will have a favor from me that I can help you with at any point in the future. The second condition is that if you win, the person you choose from my peerage still stays in the student council and cannot join your club for the remainder of the school year." Issei grinned. "I accept your terms, Lady Citri," earning a few giggles from the other girls except Tsubaki, who had her usual stoic expression. "You're being too reckless and arrogant, Sona," the vice president thought. They began playing as everyone watched them with interest, making moves and taking turns every 15 seconds, despite there still being 17 minutes remaining for lunch. Issei, playing as white, used a very defensive strategy, castling his king with his rook and placing his king in the corner as Sona began attacking him. Every now and then, he would sacrifice 2 or 3 pawns to ensure that he could kill multiple of Sona's more valuable soldiers, mainly her knights and bishops. By the time neutral territories were claimed and set up for battle in the middle of the war, Issei lost 4 pawns, 2 knights and 1 bishop, while claiming all of Sona's bishops, 1 knight, plus a rook. In chess, a pawn is worth 1, a knight is worth 3, a bishop is also be worth 3, a rook is worth 5, and a queen is worth 9. In terms of individual value of each piece, Issei lost less than Sona. Hold my ground, tire the enemy out, and then move in for the killing blow. Like Hitler versus Stalin, which would make me Stalin minus the mass murder. He thought. She was getting frustrated and impatient by how unpredictable his moves became. He smirked as Sona made a careless BP mistake, something she rarely does, by placing her queen in the line of fire of his own queen. In the process, he would lose his own queen, but he decided it was worth it and took out her queen, making her eyes widen. She usually plays it safe with her most valuable piece and only goes in for kills that wouldn't put her queen at risk. Instead, she paid the price for her lack of attention, and it is now his turn to go on the offensive. Looking up at him, she said, "Have you been practicing?" He smiled. "Of course I have. I read up on chess strategy and I found that there are 8 specific squares that are essential to winning. As soon as I started experimenting by playing virtually, I really got the hang of it. I'm surprised you haven't figured out my strategy by now." By now, Issei had 2 pawns, a bishop, and both rooks. The rooks are essential to winning in the second half if a player has a very defensive strategy like Issei, since they are needed to kill any advancing pawns trying to promote. He then sacrificed his last bishop and a pawn to kill her last rook with his. She was trembling. She only had a knight and 5 pawns left, but since none of them were close enough to his base to promote, Issei still has both rooks and 1 pawn promoted to queen. His rooks waited on both sides of the board in the 3rd row, slaughtering the advancing desperate pawns and then forcing a checkmate on her, easily winning in the end, much to everyone's shock. Sona coughed. "Well, good game. I did not expect you to beat me. So, who do you want from my peerage and at what price?" "I want Tsubasa. In exchange, I offer you an alliance between not just both of our peerages, but also on behalf of 3 specific dragon gods." Bahamut will be happy to hear this, while Lofus and Great Red might not be happy with me speaking on their behalf, but I'm sure they will understand. After all, I am their distant nephew. Sona's eyes widen. "Oh my god. I had no idea you're related to them. Very well, I accept your terms as long as Tsubasa is fine with this." She turned to the brunette, receiving a nod. "You will have to give me my evil piece back, though. She was my knight." Issei pulled out a rook and showed it to Tsubasa. "Are you ready?" "I am." He placed it against her chest and it turned green, disappearing. Something else reappeared, a knight evil piece. Issei grabbed it and handed it back to the president. "Pleasure doing business with you." He exchanged contact information with Tsubasa and left. Tsubaki leaned forward and whispered in Sona's ear, "I guess that makes him smart enough to be your husband, right?" Sona blushed much to Saji's annoyance, knowing whatever Tsubaki said has something to do with Issei. Issei's house. "Alright everyone. This is Tsubasa Yura, a member of the Kuo Academy Student Council, as well as my newest rook, meaning my peerage is complete." Tsubasa bowed. "Nice to meet you all. Please take good care of me." Azazel was scrolling through a datapad given to him by Gabriel that contained information on the Khaos Brigade. He had no idea how she obtained it, but all he knew is that she is the primary source and that the Seraphim said that she will reveal confidential information on what happened if Issei doesn't, since Issei was involved. His phone alerted him of a notification. Checking it, he saw a text message from Issei that read, "We need to talk right now, Azazel. It's important. Bring Barakiel with you. I have very good news." Azazel, raising an eyebrow, texted him back. "Alright. Be right there." Issei's house. Issei lay on the rooftop watching the few visible stars on this clear evening. Lately, he had been very busy dealing with everything that came immediately after Kaneko's rescue and rarely found time to relax. "Yo Issei." He turned his head at the sound of the voice, as well as the sound of wings flapping. Azazel had arrived along with Barakiel, the 2 full and landing on his rooftop. Issei stood up as they followed him. He jumped off the rooftop and opened the front door. "Come inside. Can I get either of you gentlemen anything to drink?" Barakiel was nervous, sensing Akeno's presence inside, as well as a few other fallen angels. "No, I'm fine, thank you." Azazel shook his head. He looked around and commented as they walked. "I see that you have made a huge home." He wasn't kidding. The main staircase is massive with bright red decorative carpet covering most of it with a chandelier hanging above it. Both sides of the staircase have a big sculpture of a dragon on the pedestals, one representing Drake and the other Albion. The staircase splits into two more staircases at the top, and in the middle of those paths is a golden sculpture Arisu requested be made of her father, Bahamut, in his dragon form. The upstairs corridors are huge too. In total, the home covers an area of 12,000 square feet of private property. Issei chuckled. It's a little bigger than what you see in most homes, but that's only because so many people live here, specifically a total of 14 people. We also have 3 cats with us, since one of my pawns is their owner. Everyone is upstairs doing their own thing. Does Akeno live here too? Barakiel asked. I sense her presence. I also sense another dragon here. Yes, she does. That dragon you sense is the White Dragon Emperor Vali Lucifer, who is a good friend of mine. I will explain why Akeno isn't with Ria's Gremory anymore later. Right now, there is something you need to know. They sat down on a couch in the living room. Issei looked at them. Kakabiel is dead. I killed him, the traitorous rat he was. He worked for the Khaos Brigade, and as you already know, he was trying to restart the Great War. His method for doing so involved the Holy Swords, but I was able to kill him easily. 5 of the 8 Holy Swords are now in possession of me, plus another one belonging to my rook, Irina Shidu, meaning my peerage has 6 in total. Azazel nodded. I see. Barakiel spoke, you said Kakabiel worked for the Khaos Brigade. The way you worded it means he was not one of their leaders. Issei sighed as he scratched his head. Yeah. Something has been bugging me. I have a power that allows me to see most of what there is to know about myself, my friends, and my enemies. I used it on Kakabiel a little before I fought him, and it said his occupation is listed as a Khaos Brigade underling or middle rank member. I really want to know who their leaders are and what their endgame is. Anyway, unless you have anything to say Azazel, you can leave. I need to speak to Barakiel about Akeno. The fallen angel leader nodded and teleported away. Issei got a good look at the Azazel's second in command. He looks nothing like his daughter. Barakiel, there's something I want to tell you. He grew nervous. I have a peerage that Akeno is a part of, but I also have a harem that I wish to include her in. I love your daughter just like I love all my girls. Barakiel was shocked. He wasn't emotionally ready for his little girl to find a man. I see. I would respect whatever decision Akeno makes. Please treat her well, Seker Yuite. Issei nodded. I promise I will, and call me Issei. After all, you're going to be one of my father's-in-law someday. Barakiel sighed with content and smiled. Okay, Issei. I should take time out of my schedule to get to know you, too. The Seker Yuite smirked. You're going to have tough competition, though. The mother of my queen is Gabriel. Raynare is your queen. It was Issei's turn to be surprised. Yeah. You know her? Barakiel nodded with a sad expression. I do, or at least I did. You should ask Raynare about it someday as it is not my place to talk about it. Issei nodded. He sent a telepathic message to his knight. Akeno, come down here please. She replied. Why? I brought your father here. What? I'm not ready to talk to him. I won't force you to do anything you don't want to do, but you should at least say hi. No. Please. No. Please. No. Please. No. Please. Fine. He smirked. I just sent a message to Akeno and asked her to come and at least say hi. She will be down here any moment. Barakiel shifted uncomfortably, responding with a nod. The flash of blue illuminated the room as the draconic circle disappeared, revealing a moody Akeno Himejima. Issei took her hand and gently guided her to sit next to her father, which she reluctantly did. Issei took a seat on a different couch. Issei began. There is another reason I called you here, Barakiel, something that both of you need to know. When I was fighting Kakabiel, he said he is the one who killed Shuri Himejima. The fallen angel gasped while his daughter, who was refusing to look in her father's direction, did so to look at her king, trembling, lightning crackling in her fingers. You avenged my wife, my goodness, thank you so much. May I ask if Kakabiel said anything about why he did it? He said he found it disgusting that you married a human instead of a fallen angel or angel. He was a purist in every sense of the word. When he told me that, I lost control of my anger while I was already in my juggernaut drive form. I made sure that he suffered a painful death. Akeno narrowed her eyes. Issei, why are you telling us this? He responded with a kind and somewhat bittersweet smile. Because I want you to be happy, Akeno. You don't need to suffer anymore. Can you imagine how your father felt all these years looking back at that fateful day, being unable to do anything but dwell on the past, drowning in his sadness? I lost my grandfather at a young age, and even though he was a pervert, I mourned. I haven't experienced what it is like to be a parent yet, but I can promise you that there is nothing a good parent wouldn't do to protect their children. That day, your father tried his best, but because he failed, I am sure it has been eating him up on the inside. Mothers show love by being honest and caring, but fathers show their love through sacrifice. Please, Akeno, talk to your father. They stared at the Sekiryu with astonished expressions. The teen shrine maiden slowly nodded and turned to her father, who had his head down in thought and sadness. Father, how have you been? Her father turned to his daughter, who could see bags under his eyes. I won't lie to you, it has been very hard. Akeno, if you still hate me, I understand. Akeno shook her head. No, I don't hate you, I forgive you. She thought of all the small things that her father did for her to make her happy, no matter how rough a day he had. She thought of all the times he would sing her to sleep and kiss her goodnight, or how he would play with her, even after coming home from a tiring day at work, where he would provide for his family. Why am I realizing this now? All this time, the warmth and affection I wanted so badly was something Rias could never give me. The place where wishes come true has always been in my father's arms. Tears rolled down her cheeks, which startled Barakiel as she hugged her father, who was holding back his own tears, as he looked at Issei with an expression that said, is this really happening right now? Thank you, son. Barakiel was unable to suppress his presence due to the sudden hug from his daughter, and his energy signature leaked out, startling everyone else in the house. They all teleported to the living room, ready to fight, but they relaxed at the scene. I'm so sorry, father. I'm so sorry. I was selfish and only ever thought of myself. I love you, so please forgive me. Akeno sobbed in his arms. SHHHH. I love you too, so it's okay. Issei, Raynare, Kuroka, and Tsubasa had bittersweet smiles. Irina, Ravel, and Murayama were sobbing for some reason. Arisu and Vali just looked confused. They looked over to Issei and said, what just happened? Issei chuckled softly. A long-awaited family reunion. Sona, what does Thaisi hear about you losing to the Sekiryu in a game of chess? Lord Citri inquired. Sona sighed. She did not want to deal with this. Not now, not ever. Dad, how did you find out? Are you spying on me? She glared at him sharply, which made the older man flinch. What? No. Remember our agreement also involved Tsubaki telling your mom and I if you ever lost to another man. Oh. I still don't care. I want to either stay single forever or marry someone of my choice after I become the head of this house. Her mother chimed in. Dear, please contact the Sekiryu and have him meet with us immediately. I wish to get this matter over with. Deep down, she knew exactly what was going to happen, and she couldn't help but feel happy. This resulted in another sigh from the Citri heiress, who was frustrated at how her parents never thought this through. Issei would not be pleased with her for summoning him on such a short notice, not giving him the opportunity to dress up. Opening a magic circle, she opened a line of communication with the Sekiryu. Issei's house. Wow. I had no idea that you're such a good cook, Issei. This food is delicious. Tsubasa said as she eagerly chomped into the lasagna. Everyone was eating dinner. You. Even the cats. Arisu, Kuroka, Asia, Middlet, Issei, and Vali ate in the living room with the cats while having small talk. The others ate in the dining room. A magic circle appeared next to Issei. Issei, we need to talk. Sona. What's up? There is something going on in my personal life that you need to know. My parents want to talk to you face to face right now. I apologize for contacting you so suddenly. I'm eating dinner right now, so tell them to piss off. Issei, please. I need you. She sounded desperate, almost like Rias. Issei didn't like this at all. He sighed. Fine. This better be good. He could hear her tone brighten as she spoke. You are able to sense my energy signature, so teleport to my location. Oh, and bring your peerage. Meanwhile, Raynare, Ravel, Murayama and Kalwarnar are helping each other do the dishes, which is quite easy if you have magic, which they used to clean and shelve the containers back where they were, all within 1 minute. Who needs a sink or a dishwasher? Everyone heard the conversation, and Issei's peerage walked up to him. Arisu voiced everyone's confusion. The president needs us for something. He nodded. Yeah. She said her parents want to see us immediately. I'm not sure why. Citri Estate, Underworld. Sona took a sip of tea gracefully as she waited for Issei to arrive, and when he did, he had a serious look on his face. What's this about? Issei. He turned to the voice to find Seraphol. Seraphol is here too, huh? Sona was surprised that Issei knows Seraphol, but she didn't voice it. Sekiryu. It's nice to finally meet you. Issei turned towards the voice to see a middle-aged man with black hair combed neatly, half of it combed onto one side of his head, while the other half mirrored it, with one strand of hair reaching just under his right eye. His eyes are black and cold. Issei blinked. Who are you? The man smiled emotionlessly, which creeped out Issei's peerage. My name is Yu Citri, Sona and Seraphol's father. This here is my wife, Katori. Tori had black hair that reached the bottom of her neck, a red right eye, and an eye patch on her green left eye. She looked like a cute courtier. She gave the secretary a nod emotionlessly aside from the strangely joyful look in her eyes, which Issei found weird. He also never noticed the small smile tugging on the corner of the woman's lips. "What do you want from me?" "Ah, straight to the point, I see. I like that in a potential suitor. You see, a long time ago, I made a deal with my little Sona that if she ever loses to another boy in a game of chess, one whom she considers as intelligent as her, she will get married to that person. That young man is you. You beat her last week, did you not?" Issei narrowed his eyes. He looked over to Sona and saw her trembling, eyes full of sadness. She clearly doesn't want this, and that angered Issei greatly. The two of them started communicating telepathically. "You clearly don't want this. I apologize in advance, but I may have to show my power to them by being a little violent." She looked up at him in worry. "Issei, please don't be reckless, and whatever you do, don't hurt my mother please. She didn't want this." "Okay. If I have to hurt your father to get you out of this arranged marriage crap, then so be it. I should have done the same thing to Ria's retarded parents, but enough of that dumb bitch. I don't give a fuck about Ria's, I stopped once I found out I was nothing but a tool to her. You, on the other hand, I will never allow anyone to hurt. I promise." Issei. He smiled at her confidently. "Everything is going to be alright. Just believe in me, Sona." For some reason, Sona felt her heart skip multiple beats. Her face felt hot, too. "Do I have a fever? Or no? Can't be." Seraphil smirked seeing her sister flustered. My. Looks like my little Sotan has a crush." "Shut up." Issei, who didn't hear them, turned to you. "So what makes you think I would let you coerce Sona into doing this?" You frowned at him. "Secretary, didn't you make an alliance with the Citri?" The dragon in question let his aura hit Lord Citri in full force. Yu struggled to breath as he was brought to their knees. "I made an alliance with Sona, not you and your family. If Sona doesn't want this, then perhaps I should start by killing you. I mean, enslaving your own daughter. Are you old devils insane? You people disgust me, and you deserve to be buried 6 feet under." Yu smirked psychotically, despite the pain. "Remind me again which devil clan you were once a part of." "The Gremory." "Yes, and I tried to stop them from marrying off their own daughter." Lord Citri gestured to Ravel. "You're a hypocrite, Secretary. You have someone from the Phoenix clan in your peerage, and yet you say you hate slavery when the Phoenix clan are neck deep in it. Leave Ravel out of this. I only hate her father, not her mother, who is actually a very kind person. Lord Phoenix and his youngest son, Riser, are pieces of shit." Issei disappeared from their vision and reappeared in front of you. Instead of punching like everyone thought he was going to, he brought out all the now permanently merged holy swords under his possession. It was a large black and silver blade. It also gave off a menacing red draconic aura. "This is Ascalon Transcended. I own 5 of the holy swords, and I wonder what shall I do? Shall I burn your flesh with its aura? How about it, Lord Citri?" He set up a barrier in between him and the girls behind him as he allowed the holy aura to leak out, controlling and directing its flow towards his intended target. Lord Citri. Yu clutched his heads in pain, wincing. "Arg. Stop, okay. I will listen to anything you tell me to do, so please stop." Issei turned to his girls. "Go home, ladies. I'll take it from here." "What?" But Arisu tried to protest. Raynare cut her off. "No buts. Do as your king says. Let's go." With Raynare being his second in command as queen, they had no choice but to obey. Deep down, they all wanted to fight alongside Issei, especially Arisu, but they understood that sometimes he has to fight his own battles. With them gone, Issei turned to you. "I need to send a message to you filthy older devils. Take me to the location of your government's council." Issei vanished as he was taken by the couple to a courtroom. Surziches and Ajuka were there with Grafia standing behind them. "Issei?" Surziches said. "What are you doing here?" "Sending a message." He started by suddenly chopping off Lord Citri's head, startling all those closest to him. Surziches was so shocked that he almost attacked the Secretary with the power of destruction he subconsciously prepared before stopping himself. Even the normally calm Grafia almost lost her composure. All of the very old high-class devils in the stands of the court looked at him in confusion, then in fear as they saw what happened, and when they saw him turn towards them and fly in their direction with high speed, about to attack. Dragon shot. A huge explosion enveloped the crowd in the stands, killing most of them. Issei pulled out Ascalon Transcended and finished any remaining survivors. "For a better underworld, die." He chopped off a man's head who was trying to crawl away. "Atone for your sins." Another was impaled through the heart. 30 people were just killed. Surziches, Ajuka, Lord Citri, the Gremories, and the Phoenixes looked on in horror as they just saw him massacre a group of unarmed devils. In that moment, the only ones who understood his reason are Surziches, Ajuka, and Lady Phoenix. Why would you do that? Lord Phoenix screamed. Lord Phoenix. I have a question for you, the Secretary spoke emotionlessly as he turned to the older devil with an enraged expression. Who is your first in line heir? Is it Ravel? Ruvel? Or perhaps that other sorry-ass excuse for a son, Riser? You better answer correctly, because your life depends on it. Lord Phoenix gulped. My first in line heir is Ruvel. Issei smirked. Lady Phoenix, would you or Ravel miss Lord Phoenix if he were to die? Would Ruvel be mad at me for killing him? The blonde shook her head. Nope. Not in the slightest. The only one who might miss him is Riser. Lord Phoenix was shocked at this unexpected betrayal, but he realized he had it coming with how controlling he is. Good. Then die, asshole. Blue flames enveloped the male devil. Aig. He howled in agony as he turned to dust. Damn. Lady Phoenix smiled in delight at her husband's death. Phew. I am free. Issei sighed. Revolution complete. I am a one-man army. He turned to the Satans. The only reason I am not killing everyone is because I am only cleaning the house, not destroying it. They looked confused and terrified, to which Issei cackled. In case you haven't noticed, I downright fucking hate most devils. However, a few of them are alright in my book. Iodora Astereth's eyes widened as he stared the Secretary in hatred, as he is one of the last few remaining devils in the crowd. Oh yeah, then tell us exactly which devils do you have positive feelings for? You hate all of us. He was met with an evil smirk from the Secretary, who turned to Lady Phoenix. I did as you said and turned Ravel into a member of my draconic peerage. I love Ravel tremendously, and I am telling you that someday, I will take the hands of the girls in my harem, Ravel included, in marriage, whether you like it or not. Lady Phoenix grinned brightly. She ran up to Issei and hugged him. I am very happy to hear that, son. I will be very glad if you were to marry Ravel. A few minutes of small talk later, Issei turned to the devil leaders. Ajuka, make a news broadcast of this without including me in any cameras. Tell the underworld the truth of what happened here. These events will strike fear into the hearts of devils the like of Rizavum Lucifer and the old Satans, members of the Khaos Brigade. They now have an enemy to be scared of, someone who they will come to acknowledge as the greatest threat to their existence, as in due time, I will hunt down each and every single one of them. Ajuka nodded. Surziches smiled at him. Thank you, Issei. I was so sick of playing the role of a politician. To these elders, I was nothing but a puppet before, but now, I can be a true devil king. The Secretary nodded, sighing as he left. He told the Citri daughters and mother everything that just happened, and they were shocked, but they were happy. As Issei teleported, Surziches suddenly heard a deep voice that no one else reacted to, one that terrified him. You are neither Devil King nor someone worthy of my name. I will return someday. For now, I will be watching you from the shadows. He frantically looked around the courtroom, which startled Graphia. What's wrong? Surziches looked at her. Didn't you hear that voice? She raised an eyebrow as she looked at him like he's crazy. What voice? It's only us two here. Iridid laughed nervously. Yeah, you're right. I must be tired. Kuo Academy. The day of the cultural festival had arrived. The main events are taking place after 6 p.m, so many students left, while some stayed for club activities or to pass the time by studying. School flew by, and everyone began making their way to different stalls to buy food and participate in fun activities. Issei is with his peerage and Vali as usual, joined by Raynare, Middled, and Asia. One stand has cotton candy. Are you all up for cotton candy? Issei offered, receiving nods from everyone except Arisu. No. I gotta stay in shape and away from the sugar, Arisu said, arms crossed with her eyes closed, being met with laughter from all of them. Sundeer. Ravel deadpanned. What? I don't want to hear that from you. You're at Sundeer too. Ravel furrowed her eyebrows as she blushed. Ha, why you little. Before they could argue further, much to everyone's amusement, Issei already handed them cotton candy. He smiled. It's good to at least indulge in yourself once in a while. Issei. A voice shouted. It was Sona. She ran up to the Secretary with Tsubaki. Can I be with your group for the remainder of the festival? Sure. The more, the merrier. His grin made Sona blush, which Tsubaki took note of. Oh. Interesting. Next, they went to a haunted house. Raynare, Arisu, Akeno Vali, Middled, and Raynare weren't scared, but all the other girls were terrified. Issei was also scared as he clung onto Raynare's arm, making her laugh nervously since the two of them were leading the group. Arisu clung onto Issei's left arm, much to Ravel's annoyance. Both Ravel and Irina held onto Issei's shoulders from behind. Behind them, Sona and Tsubaki hugged each other, screaming at every jump scare. Next in the line are Murayama and Kuroka, who held onto one another, doing the same thing as the two devils in front of them. Then there's Volley, one of the only people that wasn't shitting himself, an amused smile on his face. Middleton Calwerner followed close behind everyone, unfazed as they mumbled, "Whoa," admiring the hard work put into the haunted house. Little details such as a strobe light or blood here and there amazed them. "Wait for me, Asia begged as she tried to catch her breath from chasing after the group since she got lost. She is the furthest one in the back, the most dangerous place in a horror setting. "You stole Darling from me. I'll never forgive you. I'll kill you," a female actor said, cackling while looking right at Issei. She has a pink wig and fake blood splattered on herself, holding a machete which also was drenched in the red liquid. "You Kai. Or in this case, ICE. It's you no Gasai." Issei screamed like a little girl, making Volley laugh like Joker as everyone began running from the actor, who began chasing them with said really big knife. "Not again." Asia whined as she sprinted after them, having caught up to the two fallen angels in the rear. In the background, a man could be heard saying, "Rip and tear, until it is done. Doom eternal lost, the only thing they fear is you started blasting." Unfortunately, Sona and Tsubaki had to return to the student council room to oversee any requests for help from any fellow students should their voluntary work for the festival run into any unforeseen problems. The last place they stopped is the obligatory maid cafe, which Kuroka snuck off to be a part of, greeting them as they opened the door alongside a dozen other maids. "Welcome home, masters." They began serving their customers food. Kuroka walked up to Issei, who was dazed from the sight. "Mister. Would you like dinner, a bath or a piece of me?" She finished with a wink. "Yes please. All of the above." "What a naughty couple." Issei raised his hands into a karate stance. "Gabriel, you need to stop coming out of nowhere like that, please. You damn near gave me a heart attack." "I'm sorry." Fufu, said the blonde seraphim, holding a hand to her mouth as she failed to stifle a giggle. "Titan." Meanwhile, the two Khaos Brigade leaders were having a conversation. Satan opened his mouth to speak. "The longer the icon of sin is on earth, the stronger it will become. It doesn't matter how far away evil is being committed, if it is happening, then it will make the icon of sin stronger." Thanos raised an eyebrow. "Why not you?" Satan grunted. "I could make it me who becomes stronger, but that would not be necessary. You see, a long time ago, the icon of sin fought a terrible one-sided battle against the Doom Slayer. The icon of sin has the potential to be my most powerful general, and at the time, I didn't know of the Slayer's true strength. I underestimated him, which was a huge mistake. He took the life of the icon, whom I resurrected. Since then, he has been significantly weaker. Now watch." The devil leaned forward in interest as he held the magical crystal ball. "All it takes is a little blood and fear for us demons to grow stronger than most, faster than most, almost godlike, or rather me-like. Heh. Kuo Academy. 6:30 p.m. By now, the sun had set and over 1,000 people had filled the school campus grounds. None were prepared for what was about to happen. The possessed man quickly and quietly grabbed multiple middle school kids who were visiting the school and killed them. He used their blood to draw a pentagram just outside the school entrance. On top of the pentagram, piles of flesh were used to create a gore nest, the necessary item to open a portal between hell and the nest. The pentagram suddenly glowed bright red as dozens of demons spawned around it. The Doom Slayer, who was plucking away at his guitar in the rock and roll classroom, heard the familiar shrieks of hell's imps. The guitar riff abruptly stopped. He opened his inventory and equipped his armor as well as his assault rifle. Today, should I rip or should I tear some demon bitches? That is the real question. He never sensed the icon, who was watching the carnage while invisible. Issei was smiling at the scene before him. Gabriel was hand-feeding Raynare a slice of cheesecake, much to Raynare's embarrassment. The peace was suddenly shattered when Issei heard screaming and explosions outside. Issei sensed something, a presence. It is similar to that of a devil, but at the same time, it's different. It felt less deceptive and more malicious than most devils. Saji suddenly came dashing into the maid cafe, hands on his knees, breathing hard. "I need you, Issei's group, to come with us to the student council room immediately. It's an emergency." Issei nodded. "Let's go." They snapped to attention and followed their king. As they ran through the halls, sensing the danger, Issei began making conversation to understand the situation. "Kuroka," Issei said in a serious tone. "Use your senjutsu to tell me where that presence is coming from and what it is." "Yumu. Those are demons." Raynare voiced her opinion. "It must the forces of hell that Vega was saying that the Slayer has been fighting for a long time." Gabriel gulped. "Forces of hell," she grew nervous. "It can't be." Issei replied. "Indeed. Enough talk, we can theorize later. For now, let's help the Slayer repel this invasion." As they made their way to the student council, they were about to cross the second floor when they saw the student council members by the window that overlooks the front of the school. They were already engaged in combat. Of course, some moron humans on the sidelines had the brilliant idea of taking out their phones and filming everything, some streaming to social media, while others were already uploading to the internet. The damage had been done. There was no way that they would be able to erase the memories of all these humans, because the whole world will now know of the confirmed existence of the supernatural. Most of the student council were doing alright, but a possessed soldier fired an energy beam that unfortunately struck Tsubaki in the arm. She yelled in pain briefly as she ducked behind a wall for cover. "Tsubaki." Issei ran up to her. He grabbed her and transmitted away to his home, the only safe place he could think of. "Ow, I think I'm okay. It's just a burn." She winced as she lightly touched her shoulder. "Stay here and put some ice on it. I'll help the others fight. When we come back, everyone needs to have an emergency meeting with the three factions." He transmitted back to the fight to see his friends already taking care of almost all of the demons in the hall. "Stay still, asshole." Raynare yelled in frustration, swinging a light sword at him that kept evading her like a monkey. She was finally able to kill it when it tried to run at her for a melee attack. Issei turned to Sona. "Tsubaki was injured. It isn't life-threatening, just a burn, but I teleported her to my house and told her to stay there until we're done." Sona gave him a small smile. "Thank you." Suddenly, another demon appeared, floating in midair in the hallway and screeched at them. "It is a summoner." It immediately unleashed a torrent of demonic magic. The red energy traveled along the ground as it blazed a destructive path. The attack was aimed at Ravel, who was frozen like a deer in headlights, not having enough time to react. Ravel was shocked. She thought her demonic magic was powerful, but this attack was far superior to anything in her arsenal. The Phoenix Devil thought she was going to die, but Issei suddenly tackled her out of the way. "Everyone, get back," he ordered. "This one is mine." They all teleported behind him. "Partner, use your Diabolo's dragon form now. If you take a direct hit from that type of demon's attack, your armor will handle it, but even Juggernaut Drive has its limits. Diabolo's dragon is basically invincible." "Then let's do it." Diabolo's dragon. His Diabolo's dragon form is basically the same thing as his balance breaker, except with multiple golden scales on his shoulders. The Sekiryuite threw a massive ball of fire at the summoner, which it dodged by teleporting to its right. It suddenly began teleporting towards Issei, quickly closing the distance in multiple transmissions. It launched another volley of demonic energy. Boost. 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 Issei felt his power increase tenfold. Pulling out Ascalon Transcended, he reappeared before the demon and stabbed it, making it screech again as it died, turning red and disintegrating into nothingness. The fight was over. "Look outside." "Who is that?" Sona pointed to the front window. Issei walked over next to her and followed her finger. "Oh, that's Slayer Sensei and the chief." They observed as the Slayer ripped off the sack of a gore nest to destroy it, which summoned one last wave of demons, closing the portal. He used his rocket launcher to kill multiple Hell Knights, and then he grabbed multiple imps and ripped them to shreds with his bare hands. "Oh my god," Sona was shocked. The chief was giving the Slayer some covering fire with a battle rifle, but only from a distance since the demons reminded him of the Flood, but much more powerful, and just like the Flood, they came out of nowhere. Issei snapped Sona out of her stupor. "Sona, summon the Satans to my house." He received a nod. "Gabriel, bring the other seraphims to my house too. I will call Azazel and ask him to come alone." The blonde seraphim grew nervous. "I say, is it a good idea to suddenly hold a meeting between the three factions like this?" He turned to her. "Gabriel, you know as well as I do with what this demonic invasion means. I'll say it at the meeting." Issei's house. Everyone was sitting as they looked at Issei, who was pacing back and forward. Vega began speaking, making everyone's heads turn to the Slayer. "There are only two possibilities. The first is that there are at least one or more demon generals who are behind this invasion, which is less likely than the other possibility." Albium spoke. "I'm sorry, but who are you?" "I am Vega, an AI. My human counterpart is the Doom Slayer, the most powerful being in the universe. I advise you not to aggravate him. He could easily kill all of you." "Don't exaggerate," said Riaz, who unfortunately came to the meeting because of Surzich's extending an invitation, much to Issei's disdain. "I am the most powerful being in existence. My peerage and I could easily mop the floor with a Slayer." This caused Issei to scoff, making Kiba raise an eyebrow, Zenobia frown, and Kaneko glare at him while holding Gasper above her head in his cardboard box, the little vampire hiding from everything. "Not according to Issei Haidu," Master Chief deadpanned. Vega expanded on the chief's statement. "Yes. Issei Haidu has an ability to see who the top 25 most powerful beings in the universe are. The Doom Slayer is ranked number 1. They all turned to Issei, who sighed in annoyance. He shared the list with them. "How am I not even on here?" "Bullshit," Riaz proclaimed. Issei cackled. "You really are a dumb fucking bitch." Don't you realize that the reason you're so weak is because you're so full of yourself? You got handed everything to you from the moment you were born, meaning you sat on your fat ass and never made an attempt to improve yourself while I trained. I worked myself to the bone. People like you disgust me. You have no idea what it's like to be weak, you fucking spoiled brat. I am strong because I was once weak, because I was once looked down upon by high-class devil scum like you. I am sure the Slayer has his reasons too. By the way, he hates demons, meaning he hates devils too, so don't insult him, or else he will murder you in the most brutal way possible. The Slayer gives zero fucks. Ria's had tears in her eyes. She knows he is right, but her pride still hurt. Bekendo giggled at seeing Ria's feelings show. Fufu. Is the little princess upset? Go and cry to mommy and daddy now. The Slayer nodded at Issei as if to say, thank you. These dumb motherfuckers would probably approach me and try to recruit me so that they can use me diplomatically when they're too stupid to realize that violence is all I have ever known. Devils and demons aren't related, though, said Surziches. Yes they are, Gabriel replied. Anyway, I apologize for Ria's Gremory's rude interruption, Vega. Please continue. Right. As I was saying, the second possibility is that the theorized Dark Lord of Hell ordered this attack. Gabriel stood up in shock. Are you saying my brother is alive? I thought God killed him. Your brother? Issei asked, confused. Satan Lucifer, Gabriel clarified. He is the creator of all devils. Devils are all basically his children. Bajuka narrowed his eyes. There is no way he is still alive. Michael looked at him. How can you be so sure? Did you see him die? Issei joined in the conversation. Yeah, where's your proof, Ajuka? Are you making assumptions as a leader again like you did when Kuroka was first labeled a fugitive? If so, I may have to kill you. Ajuka trembled at the threat. I was only kidding. That was just my pride as a devil showing. Surziches steered the conversation back on track. Anyway, we need a countermeasure ready to help us fight these demons, regardless of whether they're related to us devils or not. If what Vega said is true and that the original Lucifer has returned, then our worst fears have yet to be realized. He took a moment to look around in paranoia, lowering his voice as he leaned forward while looking at the Securite. Yesterday, Issei killed all the Devil Elder Council members of the underworld, which is a very good thing. After he left the courtroom, I heard a terrifying voice say that I am no Devil King and that they will quote-unquote return someday. The voice also said that I am not worthy of their name, which makes me think it was the original Lucifer speaking to me. Seraphol grew concerned. Surziches, why didn't you tell me? I was scared, paranoid even. Gabriel trembled. That voice you heard all but confirms it. Satan is alive and he is going to make his return soon. You need to get rid of your Lucifer title. It has made him angry. Issei interrupted. Regardless, the next time there is a demonic invasion, we will need the Slayer's help to repel them, but don't expect him to help the devils. He will either help the humans or the angels. Sorry Azazel, but your kind will be fourth on that list behind the dragons, too. For now, this meeting is adjourned. All of you can go home. Everyone teleported away except for Sona, who was treating Tsubaki, and Gabriel. Sona turned to Issei. Again, thank you for treating Tsubaki. We should get going now. Take care Issei. You too. They teleported away. Issei, Gabriel spoke. Would you be interested in you and your peerage training with the gods? He looked at her with an eager battle-crazed smirk. Yes. Perfect. Odin is orchestrating this event. Tomorrow morning at 10:30, someone he will send will arrive to pick all of you up and take you to Asgard. There, the 10 of you will stay and train for 4 months. Any questions? Can I bring Vali with me? Issei asked. He's my friend and I am sure he wants to become stronger too. Gabriel stared at Vali, who nodded. Sure. I don't see why not. Raynare raised her hand politely. Will we be training as a group or will we also get the opportunity for individual lessons? Both. Go make your mama proud. Gabriel exclaimed, winking at Raynare with a thumbs up, making everyone sweat drop. Issei texted Sona. President, I am going to be gone for 4 months starting tomorrow. Odin wants to train me and my peerage plus Vali, which we will gladly accept. We're here, said the dark-skinned man who was escorting Issei's group to Asgard. Head across this bridge. Odin said that someone you know will be waiting for you on the other side. He gestured to the light bridge that was suspended over a dark cloudy void, in which none of them knew what awaited them should they fall, which made the trainees nervous. Issei looked at the man. By the way, I never got your name. The man blinked at him stoically. All you need to know about me is that I guard the Bifrost, which is used to travel between this world and others. My name is Heimdall. Issei nodded and began walking across the bridge. Asgard turned out to be exactly the way Issei imagined it to be with magnificently tall structures and a castle that he could see from miles away. His knowledge of Norse mythology is very basic like most people, having only known the names of very few gods such as Odin and Thor, but from what he read, they lived like kings and treated their people good. He also heard of Odin's son Balder, but much like Loki, Issei knows he isn't friendly. Of course, Issei is much more familiar with Japanese mythology and even Greek mythology, but that didn't mean he couldn't appreciate what fascination each pantheon has to offer. Sometimes, humans should stand back in awe to admire how powerful these deities are and how insignificant humanity truly is, with the exception of rare few humans in Issei and Murayama, who were originally born human, among those lucky few. As they came across the other end of the light bridge, they saw who was waiting for them. Roswis. Issei ran up to the Valkyrie, who blushed upon seeing the Sekiryuite. Ah. Issei. I came to pick you up. I'll also be training with you, of course. We'll be going to Odin's castle first. Follow me, please. Upon arriving at the castle, she took them to the king of Asgard's throne room. Therein sat the two most important figures of Norse mythology. Odin and Thor. Roswis kneeled, and everyone looked at Issei expectantly, following his lead. He chose to kneel, so they did too. Lord Odin, I have brought the Sekiryuite as well as the Hakuryuiku, a friend of the Red Dragon Emperor. Excellent. Odin got up and walked forward as did Thor. It's nice to meet you, Issei Haidu. You may stand. Thor will take you to the training grounds. Issei blinked as he stood. We're beginning right away. Odin gave him an amused smile. Yes. The 11 of them were teleported far from the city to a massive wide-open soccer stadium. The field is surrounded by a massive dome-like barrier that has been reinforced and strengthened by numerous gods multiple times, separating the field from the bleachers. The turf was removed to prevent damage, a dirt surface taking its place. The soccer nets had also been removed. Your training begins now, said Thor, sitting in the middle of a lower section in the stands, munching on popcorn and occasionally taking a sip from a bottle of DK pepper as he looked on in interest. Murayama rose an eyebrow. What are we? Everyone. Move. Issei suddenly screamed, which startled her as everyone moved out of the way, some ran to the left and some to the right. Before Murayama could blink, an invisible force suddenly grabbed by her throat and choke-slammed her into the ground. Mitsuki. Issei yelled in concern. Thor chuckled in amusement. The light in front of the weaker pawn shimmered as something came into view. She realized that it was invisibility. HMPH, a deep calm, stoic voice grunted as the cloaking was deactivated, the pressure on Murayama's throat now gone. It seems like I will be your trainer for the next 10 days. Murayama sat up a little. Arbiter. Everyone else, who was ready to fight, relaxed a little. The Singali warrior lifted one of his 4 mandibles, the upper right one, as if smirking at the girl. I heard that you are the one of the only 2 beings who were born as humans in this entourage other than your king. You are also the only one who didn't see that attack coming. What clan do you descend from, girl? He helped her stand on her feet. Murayama was a bit confused at that question. I'm Japanese. We were once a strong warrior people of bravery, courage, and honor above all, but we lost our ways, our traditions, as technology advanced, and some other things got in the way. L looked at her with his alien eyes in interest. What kind of things? Most of today's humans weren't alive at the time, but not too long ago, there was a war in which my people's warriors built a massive empire and did many terrible things. When we lost, we were punished so severely yet fairly, but the worst part is that we will not be seen as respectable by other nations for a very long time. Issei saw her lower her head sadly. She obviously feels very patriotic and yet accepting of the truth. Murayama looked up at the elite with a smile. On the bright side, at least us Japanese remain among the best in martial arts. The Arbiter's eyes widened. In his universe during the Human Covenant War, he alone was responsible for the deaths of over 1 billion humans when he commanded fleets of hundreds of ships, burning human worlds with plasma bombardment till they turned to glass. He never thought he would ever find any human who he could relate to, but unlike him, this girl was never brainwashed and manipulated since the moment she was born. Elle poked her shoulder with one finger, pushing it a little, and then did the same thing to the other. I see your upper body has become strong from years of training, you strike me as a warrior swordsman. I prefer to call those I am acquainted with by either title, rank, or specialty. What shall I name you? Issei interjected. Her real name is Natsuki Murayama. You can call her a samurai. He received a confused look from his pawn. You're a descendant of Oda Nobunaga. Murayama's mouth fell agape. What? That's awesome. The Arbiter nodded to the Sekiryuite. Samurai, it is then. I will be working with her individually. The rest of you should go inside that building. He pointed to a tunnel to the side that connected the stadium to an institution of some sort. There, someone is waiting to train your minds while I train this girl's body. They went inside building and saw the Master Chief waiting for them. For the next 5 days, I am going to be teaching you all basic military terminology involving strategy. Day 1 of 120 training days. While they're gone, I will be teaching you how to sense a presence as well as incoming attacks. I am not magically blessed like these gods or your friends, but I have decades of military leadership under my experience, as well as some lessons I have learned myself, lessons I can teach you. Murayama nodded. What weapon do you wield? The Arbiter inquired. She held out a bokken. The Arbiter nodded. This will do. Here's your task. You humans play a game called hide and seek. You will give me 3 minutes to hide, and then you shall seek. Once you find me, try to hit me with your weapon. You have to do this before the sun begins to set. Murayama frowned. If you're going to use your camouflage, that's basically cheating, you know. She received a huff in response. All is fair in war as long as you fight honorably. I am not hiding like a coward, but I am not murdering innocent people. Not anymore, Thel thought to himself. I will also know if you cheated because the other trainers are watching us. Now, close your eyes till the 3 minutes have passed. She turned around and placed her forehead against the wall with her eyes closed, placing her hands on them. When 3 minutes passed, a female synthesized voice came from a loudspeaker. Let's go ahead. Murayama turned around and scanned the area all around her. She saw nothing. The frustration started to rise inside her, frustration for being the weakest one of her group, but she held it back as she thought, knowing she isn't a genius by any means, but she is well above average in intelligence. The kendo captain walked to the center of the field, sat down with her legs crossed, and closed her eyes again. In the tallest and furthest reaches of the stadium is a large booth, the outside windows tinted black, so no one can see inside. What lay in it are some of the unoccupied trainers. They watched a TV which played out the dialogue between the human girl and the alien. What is that girl doing? Great Red exclaimed. His response came from Baiki Kurigane. She's meditating. Why? She needs to hurry. Next to the noisy dragon stood his wife Office, who stomped on his foot, making him yowl. Shut up. Don't you ever think before you speak, idiot Red. She's obviously trying to perform some basic magic. She released his foot. Great Red looked at the others. What's the big deal? She should just blow up the damn stadium and I'd see it as an absolute win. 37. Office sighed. You think powerful, noisy, and above all, annoying magic can solve everything. Idiot. Back with Murayama, she sent a telepathic message to Issei. I need your help, Issei. What's up? How do I sense someone's presence using my senses? I am not as magically gifted as anyone else in our group. Well, listen for audio cues such as rustling, footsteps, breathing, etc. If you're looking for the Arbiter, I imagine he is invisible again, but here's the thing. His active camouflage is not magical, it's the technology in his armor. I see. That means there has to be a weakness to it. Also, since you're basically a samurai, rely on something that's stereotypical of a Japanese girl to flush out your enemies. The wind changes direction and guides you to your desire. Spring is blooming, and there in front of you lies the perfect cherry blossom, Captain. 38. Murayama sighed. What about using magic to find him, like his kai or something? Stretch out with your feelings. 39. She felt an eyebrow twitch, but she's trying to hold back her laughter. Issei, this is serious. Issei cackled. In all seriousness, hone your senses on what it is you seek while blocking out all distractions, and you may find what you're looking for. You need vision without sight. Don't think. Feel. Most importantly, follow your gut. Thank you for the advice. I am so calling dibs on being the second girl to cuddle you tonight besides Raynare. She opened her eyes and stood up. Office mumbled to herself, this is like an anime. Great Red smirked. I didn't know you're a weeb. My favorite genre is comedy, she deadpanned. This is funny. Murayama remembered Issei's words. Ancient spirit of the old, ghost of the past, Oda Nobunaga. I beseech thee to guide me, a descendant of yours loyal to the ways of Bushido. Something happened when she said Bushido. The sound all around her disappeared. Her vision of everything in her surroundings turned blue. Scanning her surroundings, she saw bright reddish-orange hoof-like footprints. She said the word again then again, making her vision turn to normal, the footprints gone, and back to the ability. Following them, she spotted the Arbiter. He is standing on top of the stadium jumbotron, barely inside the magical barrier. Murayama broke into a sprint up the stairs 4 steps at a time, and 5 seconds later, she was running on the wall. As she began to lose her footing, she leapt at the elite, who was surprised to see her physically capable of such a thing, and swung her bokken at him. The sword bounced off the center of his armor-plated chest, but it was enough to do the job. His camouflage deactivated. How did you find me? The Arbiter asked his student politely. Well, I used a new ability I discovered that allows me to disregard everything that distracts me physically. My focus went up a lot. I have heard of such an ability theorized among some human scientists. I forgot what they call it. Something projection. Astral projection. I think it was that, but without the part of me leaving my physical body. My senses were much more attuned except my hearing, which disappeared. I want to test it on you during a spar. They both grabbed their weapons. The arbiter held a large wooden staff with both hands like a double-bladed sword. Strike whenever you're ready, samurai. She nodded and mumbled, Bushido. This time, something different happened. An image of a red-orange version of both the master and the student appeared. It showed her attacks and what she needed to do to win. When the image disappeared, the wind, which had stopped blowing to Murayama's senses, began again. She lunged forward while subconsciously thinking of two things. Firstly, she can see an immediate future's best possible outcome. Secondly, she knows beforehand how to win. Is it cheating? She thought. Physically, the elite is much stronger than her, but this spar was over before it even began. Their sticks collided, the sound of wood echoing as neither budged until she rolled to the side and smacked his hand hard, making the alien drop the staff. She roughly grabbed his wrist and held her bakken up to his neck as if she were going to slit his throat if she were holding a real katana. Nice. Issei cheered as the group clapped for Murayama, which startled the pawn who was unaware of their presence. The arbiter was a little frustrated, having only ever lost in hand-to-hand combat against Spartans such as the Demon Master Chief. He sucked it up as he offered his words of congratulations. Good work, samurai. Your king will be very pleased. That night, they were all taken back to the royal castle and fed a large dinner. Most of them were given their own rooms except Issei, who shared with Raynare, but no matter what, every room is the size of a master bedroom. All of them had their walls lavishly decorated with curtains that had unique color and design, as expected of an ultra-rich noble family. A family of gods. Murayama stood on the large balcony, looking at the many stars, which she could see for some reason despite the light pollution. Someone knocked on her open door 3 times. It was Issei. Yo. Murayama nodded at him. Hey. She turned back to look at the sky. Issei leaned on the rails while facing her. What's up, Na-chan? You seem worried. She tried to feign innocence. What do you mean? I'm fine. Itsuki, he turned serious, placing his hands on her shoulders and turning her towards him, making her look at him. I understand if I am making you uncomfortable, but please tell me the truth. I just want to help you. Murayama sighed as she spoke softly, letting her emotions show. I'm frustrated. It sucks being the weakest person in this peerage. Sometimes I feel that no matter how hard I may try, I will never be able to keep up with all of you. I know I'm not worthless, but I sure feel like it, at least in the supernatural. She was pulled into a gentle hug by her king. You will always be special to us, and I know you can keep up. Remember that you're the second girl I added to my harem after Raynare, which is a huge deal. Look at me and tell me what you see. Wasn't I once an ordinary human too? The kendo captain furrowed her eyebrows as she looked up into his eyes. That's different. You're the Red Dragon Emperor. Issei nodded. True, but it doesn't change the fact that I was once weak too. What did I do about it? I trained my ass off and am still training. The Master Chief, at one point, was an ordinary human as well, and he got trained for 8 years when he was only 6 years old. He became a mean green killing machine. His last sentence earned a giggle from her. He continued. I know it may not seem like it when times get rough, but stay positive and work hard. When our training is finished 4 months from now, you could be as powerful as some of the best high-class devils and fallen angels. That's not mentioning the fact that you're a pawn who took 2 pawn pieces, which is extremely rare for an ordinary human, and that you can promote. Tomorrow, you will join the rest of us in learning from the chief. Okay. Murayama smiled, feeling her anxiety disappear. Okay. Issei grinned and leaned down to kiss her lips for the better part of a minute, his tongue invading her mouth, earning quite a few moans from her. I love you, Natsuki. I love you, too. End of the here. So that's it for today's video guys. Before you go, just like the video and share it with your friends. Bye.